Hi, these are your Jesse Mack one word or less comic reviews for July 2019. Nailed it. Embarrassed by this shirt, but also have to support local sports team when they do bad wrestling parody shirt. It's the law. Here are some comic reviews. Concise. Gritty. Hopeful. Joyride. Decisive. Exalted. Intense. Consummate. Beautiful. Genuine.
One word or less comic reviews. Pow!
All right. Let me give you some expanded thoughts on these comics now. Immortal Hulk. Crap, it's been so long since I've read these. I'm, once again, doing the review very late in the month. This time my excuse, as it were, is that I started a new job that pays me, and I no longer have the routine where I will read the comics on my lunch, because I can watch the G1 Climax during my lunch, and if I can watch Japanese wrestling that I need to watch a ton of in July and August, that's the way I'm going. But yeah, I eventually got through all the comics, and here we go. Late, but never... Nope, that's not a phrase. So, this, I think I talked about this last month or the month before, but I do enjoy when you have a comic, a single issue devoted to the development of one character. In this case, it's the bad guy. And he doesn't really, he's just kept showing up, and we don't really have any background on him. This whole issue is the background on him, and as it turns out, it's a pretty cool background, and I very much enjoyed this issue. Alright, Lois Lane. When this and Jimmy Olsen were announced, I was very excited because put Greg Rucka on anything, and I'm there. And double that for Matt Fraction, who I don't know what the last thing he wrote was, because it's been so long. And so to have both of them committed to, you know, a crime story and whatever the heck Fraction feels like doing is a gift. And yeah, no shocker, Lois Lane #1 was quite enjoyable. It had a good tone. It's straddling the line between doing a crime comic and not ignoring that superheroes exist. It's almost definitely the most I've ever liked Lois Lane, which is not too much of an accomplishment because I've never been a big enough Superman fan for Lois to pop. So, regardless, it's very good, and being a 12-issue maxi series, let's say, I am excited to see the... I like when you have a set series like that because you get to create an arc, and they got to be going places, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going. Criminal's always pretty good. This one was pretty good. Criminal's one of those books that when I mostly like it, it's still one of my favorite comics of the month. And that's where I'm at here. I really enjoyed the extra depth of getting to see a heartless character fall in love. And it was a real good time. Paper Girls. I'm going to miss Paper Girls. It went in a lot of different directions, but I very much enjoyed all of the twists and turns. I enjoyed the ride. And this issue was essentially just epilogue. And it felt real good to read, and I very much enjoyed it. And it was good to go on one last ride with these girls. Also ending this month, and a much longer span, was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which had the last issue of The Tempest, Volume 4, which kind of the 6th volume, if you count Black Dossier and the Nemo stuff. There's been a decent amount of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen over the years, and I know that I read the first absolute League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in like the year 2000. So we have been doing this for about 20 years, and we finally said goodbye to these characters, and it was a good send-off. It was a little less pop than I would have liked, but it definitely ended things, which I appreciate. And it had some feel-good moments. I liked it. Jimmy Olsen. Matt Fraction just quirks so well, and putting him on a character like Jimmy Olsen, I mean, it could go a lot of different ways, but this is very different from All-Star Superman, but it's the same sort of, let's go back to Silver Age storytelling and, give you a whole story in each issue, or in this case, several small stories in each issue that are telling a larger story, and let's have fun, and let's be good. This comic had one of the best gags that I've ever seen, which I'm not sure what I'm using as my background this month. It might just be the wink the whole time, because the wink is so good. It is so just... that page turn into the real joke is like next level phenomenal comic storytelling. Comic meaning comedy and comic meaning book. So, just, much like Lois Lane, I can't wait to see what is in store. This doesn't necessarily... I feel like this has less of a sort of need to tell a, wonderful overarching story. But it's Matt Fraction. He's telling a wonderful overarching story, but he's going to have fun along the way. And, it might even have some of those gear shifts in the middle where it's like, oh, we're having fun, da-da-da-da-da. And then you care, and then you hate that you cared, but you love that you hate that you cared. And, ta-da, I like comics. That's pretty much like a checklist of what is good for me in comics. Lazarus, which was Lazarus Risen. I have actually enjoyed the format change to a quarterly book. It feels very good to me. I enjoyed the back matter, which, I don't always enjoy the back matter in these comics. And this comic was, about half of it was just a fight, and it was a really good fight. And then the rest of it was just a good simmer, which was also just aces. And so, gotta love that Lazarus. It's, once again, you put Greg Rucka on a book, I'm interested. I'm real interested. And Lazarus has been something special. Like, the world building in that book is just amazing. So, this was a good one. Oh yeah, Batman 74. I'm a broken record. I really can't find new ways to talk about how I like Tom King's Batman, because he does the same work month in, month out, and it's always good and it's always exciting to me. But it's not like, oh my god, can you believe what he did this month? It's like, no, he did what he does, which is a very good Batman book where you are deep inside the psyches of the characters through inner monologues and juxtaposition of what's happening in the comic page and what, is being said in captions. It's just, he really has a feel for how you can take comics, what makes comics special, and make it shine. And yeah, this was just another great example of that, where you have Bruce fighting this other Batman, who, you've probably been around the block enough times. It's his father from an alternate universe, and there's some real interesting stuff going on, and it was a real good Batman. We're almost ready to say goodbye to the Wicked and the Divine, and I don't know that I'm ready, but I know that the last 2 or 3 pages of this book were just so good. And the whole, this has been a journey, and this is at the top of my list for comics that I want to reread from the beginning and just read the whole thing in one shot, because there has been a lot. There's been a lot. Let's just stop it there. And I really would love to see how I enjoy the beginning of the story with the knowledge of how it changes and where it goes and who these people are in the end. And, find the clues, and then also just soak in it. Just soak in all of that good character stuff. And this one gave us our big, strong ending, and I cannot wait for the last issue to just tie a bow on all this. Much like Paper Girls, this was the issue that ends the story that was being told, but now we get the after. And yeah, it's going to be great. And speaking of the after, semicolon, it's gonna be great. The Walking Dead. Man, oh man, what a shock. I did not know this comic was ending when I picked up the book. I didn't know it was ending until I got to the page where it said the end. And even then I was like, what? And then I turned the page and it's like, oh, we ended the story. And it's like, what the heck? So I part of what I was thinking the whole time was like, I wonder how they are going to, like, where is this going? Where is this, how, like, it felt like it was like opening so many doors. It was like pulling threads in this, after this time jump. And no, that's not what that was at all. That's not what I was reading. I was reading just one last story about the way things were after Rick Grimes. And my God, it is a beautiful thing. This comic really, it was very long in the tooth. Like, to go almost 200 issues in a comic, you are not going to be just all blaze and glory the entire time. And you can't be. You shouldn't be. You got to have that roller coaster. You got to have the lows so that you can get to the highs. You got to have the, not the dull moments, but you got to have the quiet moments so that the excitement is exciting. If you are always at 10, you don't pop anymore. So, it was a very long story, and I think that was part of the appeal of The Walking Dead. It was like, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. That was the whole appeal of the, one of the early back matters and the trades that I bought. Robert Kirkman talked about how, like, he didn't know if it was going to make it past 6 issues, and then when they got extended to 12, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it past 12, so I got to tell all the story I want to tell in these early issues. But the whole point of it is what happens when the zombie movie is over, and these people have to keep going. And it was wonderful to read a book where they kept going, and they kept discovering new things, and this and that, and everything. Like, the world kept pushing outward. There was always another leaf to turn over. And now, it's done. And so now I have to think about it as, how does The Walking Dead feel as a 193 book masterpiece? And it seems like it's going to feel pretty good. That's another one where I just got to read the whole thing, just front to back, over a weekend, or probably many days, half an hour to an hour at a time, and just soak it in. There's just so many troubles and so many just highs and lows for these characters I don't even remember from the first 50 issues, and just seeing them and be like, oh, what happened to them? Like, they got to die, because I don't remember them later, but I don't remember how they turned out. Just getting all of that emotion again. Walking Dead really just ended about as strong as a comic can end, and I'm having trouble remembering what I said when I half talked about The Walking Dead last month, but there's a beauty in the idea that The Walking Dead was all about its shocks, and Robert Kirkman pulled off the biggest shock possible, which is, oh, by the way, we're done. We did it. That's the end of our story. We could tell more story of this world after Rick Grimes, but this was the story of Rick Grimes, and now that he's gone, all we have is whatever else happened. These people continue on. Here's an issue talking about how that is, but we aren't going to watch that story. That story is just for them. And, it's real good. All right. I kind of hope that the background was the wink the whole time. I'm probably going to go that way unless it looks terrible. So, I'll see you next month. Hopefully much earlier next month. I'm going to try to stay on top of my comics reading and pow, 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 knock this thing out. God, that was a bad ending. All right. Pretend I didn't just do that. And I'm going to be back next month to talk about comics in one word or less. Love you guys.